Hello everyone, this is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to my afternoon tea time on a card. I'm just going to give it a few seconds for everyone to join me. I'm also trying to find me on my iPad. There we go. So my afternoon tea time on a card takes place I try to do a video every 2 weeks on my Stampin' Ink Designs group. This is a Facebook group open to anyone. So if you have friends and family that like to stamp and like to watch videos, make sure you invite them to join my page. So I've got my tea here. I'm all ready to stamp, but I'm going to move this over because I don't want to make a mess. Today's projects come to you from Vicki Stevens. She asked me if I would show how to do it's an Emboss-Resist. She had actually sent me copies of some cards that she saw and wanted to know how to achieve that. So I've got 3 cards today, but these are the first 2 we're going to do. These are exact same, but I wanted to do one with a bold image and then one with a lined image. I'm going to show you how to do both of these. The Emboss-Resist is an old technique, but if you guys, some of you are new stampers, you've probably never seen it. So you can see here, I'll try to hold this up and try to get the shiny. This is white embossed. It's quite shiny. Same with this one. The lined flower images are embossed. So we're going to start out with that. And all 3 cards today use the same layer. So I've got 3 of everything. This is the Purple Posy, 3 pieces, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And good news about Purple Posy, if you haven't heard, our ink pads and ink refills finally passed Stampin' Up's test, and they should be available soon. We don't have a date yet, but they should be available soon. Now I've got 3 pieces of Seaside Spray, 5 1/4 by 4, 3 pieces of white, 3 3/4 by 5 inches. We're going to use 2 right off. And then I have some Purple Posy banners, which are an inch long, an inch wide, and we're going to trim the ends. So I'm going to start out with 2 white pieces. I'm using these ink colors today: Purple Posy, Seaside Spray, Petal Pink, and Gorgeous Grape. The Gorgeous Grape is going to be on the last card that I'm going to show you. So I'm going to open up Purple Posy, Seaside Spray, and Petal Pink. I've got 3 sponge daubers for each color. I'm just going to add color all over these backgrounds. I am going to use the heat tool today, so you guys are going to have to watch, and I'll be making a little bit of noise. Now I'm just kind of randomly adding color. We're going to fill up the whole cardstock layer. Now what I like about the sponge daubers is because I'm using smaller areas. You'll see in my last card I used a bigger sponge. Now this is Purple Posy. Now my ink pad was okay. I was one of the lucky ones where mine was okay. So I've been using it. Now when I get to where the 2 colors meet, I try to blend them. And you can do this technique with however many colors you want. I just happen to be using 3 today. So it looks kind of messy right now, but you'll see we'll create a masterpiece by the time we're done. And again, I'm blending where the 2 colors meet. Now we've got 1 more color. And I am going to have to do this one more time with the 3rd technique, but that one is done a little differently than what I'm going to show you. So the one that Vicki asked about is what I'm showing you right now. She showed me a picture that had the Emboss-Resist. And it did have flowers like I'm using today, but a totally different stamp set. Okay, so there's number one. It just looks like a big blob of different colors. I would love to see, you know, our page is specifically for you guys to add some of your projects. I would love to see what you guys do with this. Okay, so that's, I'm gonna move these aside for now. I'm gonna need them again for card 3. Now what I'm going to do, and I forgot to show you the stamp sets I'm using, the Floral Essence and the Kindness and Compassion. Let me bring the cards back in so you can see them. Now I'm going to use a lined flower image on one and a bold image on the other. I'm going to bring the embossing buddy in. This has a little bit of powder. It takes out the static and the greasy fingertips. And also it's wetting, or not wetting, it's drying up my ink in case it's still a little wet, because I'm going to sprinkle some embossing powder on here. So I don't want the embossing powder to stick to the ink. I'm using white embossing powder. Okay, I'm going to start with the bold image with Versamark ink. And I'm adding flowers to the background. Now you can do this 2 ways. I kind of did it backwards this time because I wanted to see if there's going to be a difference in how this turns out. So on my first 2 cards, I actually stamped and embossed my flowers first, and then I added my ink. So that's where the resist comes in. But this time I did my ink first, and then I'm doing the embossing the embossing powder. Only because I wanted to experiment and show you if this is going to cause the ink to seep through the white. What do you guys think? Do you think the ink's going to show through the white? Okay, now I'm going to do the lined images. So if you want to do it the first way I did it, there's no right or wrong way because we're using white. Now I'm stamping the bold image. If you were to use clear embossing powder, which is what we are doing in card number 3, you would want to do your embossing first so that the color doesn't peek through your ink lines, or your heat embossed lines is what I wanted to say. Okay, so this is the lined image. So I'm adding the powder. I know it's hard for you guys to see this because we've got the color going on. So now I'm going to bring in the heat tool, and we'll see if it's different by doing the embossing first or doing the embossing after the color. This will go fast once my heat tool heats up. Okay, there you go. You can see the white powder starting to melt. It becomes a lot more vivid and shiny. And as you can see, I'm going to put them side by side to see if there's a difference. I've never done the white on top of the color after. I've always done it before. Okay, I've got a few more on this one, and then we'll do the other one. I hope you guys can see that on camera, how it's starting to melt and then it gets so much brighter. See how that gets brighter? Okay, there's that one. Now this one is really going to show up because they're bold. Oh, Karen says she likes the first one because the way the color peeks through in the flowers. I like that one too. Okay, I'm almost done. Now, my only issue with my heat tool when I use it for a long time like this, sometimes it won't start right back up. So I'm hoping it'll be all right if I shut it off. Okay. Now, let's see if there's a big difference. Okay, so you can see that the color to me does not peek through as much when you look at the centers. So what I would do, and then let's look at this one. Same thing. I think it works better by doing your embossing on the white first and then adding color, because I'm going to show you what happens if I go in and add more color to this flower. Okay, do you see how the detail comes out? It goes right into the cracks that are not embossed. And you can see the detail a lot better. So, let me see what color. This is Seaside Spray. Look at this flower as I'm doing it. You'll see how more vivid the center comes out. See, it really pops. So my suggestion, only because this was an experiment, my suggestion to you would be to do your embossing first and then add your ink. There, see how nice that is? Now I'm just going to go ahead and blend that in. Yep, it comes out a lot darker. Same thing with this flower. Now look at the difference. You see how that really comes out? It really pops when I add the color after. Yeah, I like this better. I like the method, do your embossing first. It just turns out so much better. See how that pops? I keep saying that. Okay, so there's the first two cards. I'm going to go ahead and glue everything together. So now we've got our 3 card bases. I'm going to fold that on the score line on all 3. And we're going to add the Seaside Spray to all 3. So for those of you guys that are in my color share, I'm hoping that the Purple Posy will be ready for the color share next month. I have everything else Purple Posy. I'm just waiting for the ink and the ink refills. Okay, there's 2. And I think by doing all these 3 pieces ahead of time, my heat tool will be okay to do card number 3. Okay, so there's, I just want to make sure they're all facing the right direction. So there's 3. Next, we're going to glue these in place because these are all done. So there's number 1 with the bold flower. Number 2 with the lined flower. And then I'm going to go ahead and do all 3 banners. That way the third one will be ready for card number 3. And I am using the Gorgeous Grape. And this says our sincere condolences. There's 1, 2, and 3. And then I've got the tailored tag punch just to punch out the ends. You know how you would just insert that inside and flag the ends. And then we'll work on the third card, and that one will be pretty quick too. Aren't those colors pretty together? They look so nice. Okay, there's that one. And this one. And then we got to have some bling. We can't do a card without any bling. I'm using the In Color faceted dots. I'm using all 3 sizes. So there's that one. Now let's see. My flowers aren't the same on both cards. Okay, so there's card 1 and card 2. Now let's move on to card 3. So I didn't show you that one yet. This time, instead of using white embossing powder, I'm going to be using clear embossing powder. And the color's gonna peek through behind the flowers. Now this is also called Joseph's coat. Yes, the Joseph's, I'm not saying that right. It's gonna come to me. Okay, so again, we're going to use the embossing buddy to put powder on here because we're going to stamp. No, we're not. I'm doing this reverse. We're gonna add color first. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing. We're going to add color to the background. Joseph's coat of many colors. There, that's the technique. I knew I was missing a word in there. There's the purple posy and the petal pink. So again, I'm using 3 colors, and then we're gonna do some magic with the gorgeous grape. This is one of those wow cards when people have never done embossing. This is one of the wow ones. Okay, now I need Seaside Spray. I'm gonna try to sneak some blue right here. I didn't leave any room there. Okay, again, it looks like a bunch of just clumped up colors. I'm going to be using the bold image. So we're gonna start. Oh, wait a minute. Here's where I need to do my embossing buddy. Because remember, the ink could still be a little moist. Okay, now we're going to stamp the bold image. And to you guys, it looks like I'm doing absolutely nothing, but I am stamping. I can actually hold it up to the light to see where I need to stamp. It's nice and shiny, so you can see where you're at. Let me see, I'm just gonna add just a little smidgen in the corners. Okay. So this time we're using clear embossing powder because we want the color to peek through on the clear, under the clear embossing. So even though it's clear, it does show up as white in my container, but it is going to dry clear or melt clear. So I'm kind of going through these quickly, but you guys can all do this. And I would love to see what you come up with. Oh, I got some missing right in this spot. Okay, now pray that my heat tool starts up. Yep, it does. I had to wait for it the other day when I was using it because it got overheated. Okay, so you're gonna see this start to melt. It's gonna get real shiny. There it goes. And it almost gives it a watermark look. It gets a little bit darker on the colors where the embossing powder is melting. We're halfway there. Okay, now we just have a few more. Can you guys see how shiny that is? And then I usually hold it up to the light to make sure I get everything. Okay, that's all set. Now we're going to do some magic. We're going to bring in, let me move my cards. We're going to bring in Gorgeous Grape. And you can see that my flowers are there. They're all stamped in the background. And I'm using the bigger sponge this time because I'm doing the whole area. And you're going to see the magic. Look at that. Isn't that neat? So you're actually covering the ink around the flowers with a darker ink. And I'm going to show you closely how that picks up the detail. Look at the detail of that flower. So all I'm doing is swirling the color around. You can do this with black. You can do this with navy. Any really dark color because you want to cover the colors beneath. Okay. So how quick was that? Now what I normally do is grab a tissue and I wipe on top of the flowers because sometimes you do have some residue there. And now we can finish up card number 3. And I will draw a name tomorrow for all 3 of these cards. And you guys all know how you win, right? I can't ask you to do something, but you guys know what you need to do on Facebook. There's my banner. And lastly, we've got the same bling. Let's see, I'm gonna put one right there and the little one down here. There you go. So there's my 3 cards with the embossing technique, the Emboss-Resist. So let me bring out the ones that go together. This is the lined image, the Joseph's coat technique, and then the one with the bold image. So I hope you guys learned a little something today, and I hope you'll give this a try and then add your pictures to the Stampin' Ink Designs page. I would love to see what you guys created. And for those of you that are watching this later on YouTube, if you are on Facebook, make sure you look for Stampin' Ink Designs and find the group page so you can ask to be a member. Thanks so much for joining me this afternoon, everyone. Have a good day.